Hello, you lovely, lovely people. I've been tiling the living room, and that's why I haven't been around, to be honest with you. I wish I hadn't started. Mind you, it's getting there with cuts and the finicky things, but that's not the topic of today. That's just why I haven't been around. As a few of you've sent me messages, am I okay? We haven't seen no new videos for a while. That's why. Anyway, doing these tiles, I've been going to hardware stores, buying bits and pieces and stuff. And in this particular hardware store, in fact, it was Hardware, Ace Hardware, and just strolling around there with my wife and Kaylin, doing his stuff, running all over the place. And anyway, there was this guy in there, foreigner, and he kept looking at me, and then we happened to be in the same aisle, and he said, "I know you." He said, I watch your channel. Ah, okay. And we got talking, and he doesn't live too far from here, actually. And we was just having conversation, and families came into it, your Filipina family. And he said to me, how do I get on with my, Filipina wives? I said, oh, it's a long story. And I said, you've seen a few of my videos, you'll know. And I said, what about you? I said, have you, come across any troubles and difficulties? And he said, no, I haven't. And he said, couldn't wish for better people. And then he went on to say, and I said to him, I said, do you mind if I make a video of this? He said, no, it's fine. And he said that because where they live, it's part of the family community, but it's all on rental land, like tenants, if you like. So what he done, he built his house for him and his partner, and then he also built a house for his in-laws on the same part. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And he said, because we was all living together. We was all living in the same house. I said, hold on a minute. You was living with your wife? He said, yeah. And your wife was living with the parents? He said, yeah. So he was living in the same house, in the family house. And I said, you got on okay? He said, yeah. So I said, how many people I lived then? He said, 12. With the brothers and the sisters of his. I thought, my God, I couldn't do that. I said, you're a better man than I am. And he went one further. He built a house for the in-laws and the brothers and sisters. He bought some land very, very close to where they live and built a house for them. Now, I couldn't do it. I will be honest, people. As I said to him, I said, that's the last thing I would ever think of doing. Because I said, I know what my wife's family are like. But it goes to show you, doesn't it? Oh, and by the way, they've been together forever. They've been together for much longer than I've been with my wife. And I've been with my wife for 7 years plus. So I said, you're the only person, the only foreigner that I've ever, and I've never even heard of this, it probably happened, well, it does happen, who's built their partner, family, a house. And I think that's cool if that's what you want to do. And he's got a good in-laws. I said, do they ask you for money? He said, no, they never ask for money. And I said, well, are they working? Are they professional people? He said, no, they just from the province, just the same as my wife. He says, well, you built them a house and they don't ask you for money. No, they don't. He says, the father-in-law, he does the copra, and he's got a carabao. I think he said he's got 2 carabaos, cows. He's got some. He has pigs, and he also has goats, candin as they call them here, and chickens. Most Filipinos have chickens. And I was like taken aback by it. And of course my wife is there, isn't she? And she's listening to all this. And I thought, she's going to say something about it. So, we said our goodbyes in Ace Hardware. And I was talking to my wife about it, and she said, if you did that, Stephen, that would be the worst thing that you could do. And this is my wife telling me. I said, I know it would. And I said, why would you think it would be the worst thing? And she said, because if you did that, and she knows her family, she knows them better than I do. She said, they would want you to pay for this and pay for that and buy furniture for the house. So not only would you build the house, you would fill it with furniture and TVs and washing machines for the in-laws. So she's all right with me. She says, no. And it's something that I would never do, people. And I'm not being tight. It's just, for me, it just doesn't make any sense for me, because I know what Mira's family are like, and they would be wanting more and more, like they used to want more and more when I gave them. And that's why I stopped doing it, because it was just more and more which they wanted. But if they were different people, and I said this to Mira, I said this a while ago, even before this conversation, I said, if your family were different people, I said, it wouldn't be such a bad thing if we did live close together, because it's good for Mira, and Kaelin would grow up with that side, from Mira's side of the family, rather than just visiting from time to time. And then Mira said, no, Stephen, no, even she wouldn't want that. But it goes to show you, though, that some foreigners do that. And I think it's great if you do get on with your in-laws and they're not always wanting all the time. And as I said, these aren't professional people where they've got good jobs and a good income. They just, scratch a living, with his copper, like I said, he does the animals and things like that. But he doesn't. And I said, I take my hat off to you, mate. I said, because there's no way that, that I could even consider doing something like that. And he said, yeah, he said, like many of his friends say the same thing, that, poor, we couldn't do that. And anyway, it got me thinking about Mira's family and this land business. And as you know, I think I said in the last video, or some videos behind, Mira's not going to sell it. She's going to keep the land, because if she did sell the land, it would cause a lot of problems, because they want more than what she was going to give. So rather than cause arguments and animosity, she's just going to keep the land, and for something for Kaelin and the unborn child when it comes along. And I think that's a great idea. And we've been looking at dwarf trees like rambutan, lanzones, which there's already some there at the moment, but they're not dwarf trees, they're old trees and they're very tall. So we're thinking about doing that, making orchards really in part of it anyway. And I think that's a damn good idea, because like a lot of you guys was saying sell it and don't give them nothing, and a lot of you were saying, well, just keep it, hang on to it, it's something for your kids. And it's true, it is true. I think to sell any land, I think, is foolish, because it's only gonna like appreciate in time. And as I said, the place where it is quite remote, people. It is. And but since I was there last time, it's come on a bit. There's a road being built, a concrete road there. There's PLDT there now. There's running water there now. So it is coming up a little bit. And of course, the price of the land is coming up a little bit as well. So I think it's just a damn good idea not to sell it. Keep hold of it. And next year, it's December now, isn't it? But I think in the middle of next year, we're going to start planting some trees on there, and start to grow a bit of fruit, and sell that. She says she'll get like a caretaker there, and he can take care of the land like the last one. cutting down the narrow trees and selling that behind Mira's back. And then when we did try and confront him, he'd already gone. He took the money and gone. You know, he'd cut the trees down, and also he was taking most of the, because there's a lot of coconuts on that land, a heck of a lot of coconuts. I think copra now is about 70 pesos a kilo. So, you know, it's fetching good money now. And there's a crop out there now that's, Mira said, I mean, I wouldn't know if he's ready or not. But, you know, when Mira was looking, she said, you know, there's a crop about ready now to be taken down. So I think she's going to, well, there's a guy here actually, and he's always doing copra here. And Mira said to him, you know, like if he wants to go down there and start taking the coconuts down and doing copra, and she'd give him, you know, half of the proceeds. So I think he's going to do that in January. So she's going to start making like a little bit of money on it. Not a lot, but it's something. And you know, all the money, and she said all the money that she did make on it, she'd just stick it into like a trust fund for the kids. And I think that's a great idea. She's thinking sensibly. She's thinking sensibly. Although today I was having a conversation about the tiles. And she was having a conversation with me about something totally different. And I just didn't understand what she was talking about. And I said, what? And she said, oh, the like hospital where I want to get the scan. I said, Mira, I said, for the last 10 minutes we've been talking about tiles. And I said, you've just already, like all of a sudden come into the conversation all about scan. This is the thing with Filipinos sometimes. They jump from subject to subject to subject. And they only tell you a little part of the story. And then you've got to guess the rest. You've got to guess what they're on about. And I have this with my wife. Most conversations, I do, honestly, people, most conversations that we have, she'll start off telling me something, and sometimes I get like, yeah, and by the time she's finished telling me the story, I haven't got a clue what she's talking about. Honestly, it'll start off as something, and I'm thinking, she's off on a tangent. She's gone off on a tangent, so what I do these days, I go, yeah, and I say, Mira, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, because you've started on something, you haven't finished that one, and now you're talking about something else. And she'll laugh, and I just laugh. I said, one thing at a time, Mira, one thing at a time. And look, these are the things that she bought today. Now, I can't eat these damn things, but this is like, what is that? What's she going to eat? Oh, my goodness. Or perhaps she's already done them, I don't know. I don't know, he just looks like grass, doesn't it? Looks like grass. But that's, and this is from the garden down here. But she said it's good for health, Stephen, it's good for health. Why don't you try it? I said, yeah, I tried this a long time ago when I first got one. I said, it's like a slimy. I said, I don't like it. And also, have you noticed here, the okra? When when I've had okra in England, it's not slimy. It's got no slime on it, but the okra I've tried here, it's slimy. Why is that? It's obviously like a different variety, but it's horrible. I don't like anything slimy, like food-wise. And some of these vegetables, it's not just these ones. And she gets something else. This other leaf is slime. I said, Mira, I said, oh God, now what you're eating, I can see the slime. Whoa, not for me, not for me at all. Horses for courses and all that sort of stuff. Found some good sausages today. Got to tell you this because I know like a lot of foreigners try and get some good sausages. If you're in a place like Cebu, you can find them, but here where I am, it's difficult. And these sausages I found were it's in a place called a Torium, and it's like what is it? It's like a shopping mall, but quite small. But it's got a really good like sort of imported section there. And I found, and I know these aren't the best sausages in England, but I found some Walls pork sausages. Some Walls, 8. They only had one packet there, and it was in the the date. The sell-by date was all good. I brought them back, and do you know, I cooked them, and I ate the lot. No, I didn't. My son had 2. Caden had 2. It just brought back memories of England. When you used to do the eggs, bacon, tomatoes, mushrooms, fried bread and all that sort of stuff. They were so nice. Paid through the nose for them, but it was my little treat. And I said to Mira, try that. Try one of them, see what you think. She don't like it. Says it's salty. I said, salty? The stuff you eat? I said, you put salt in it, like half a kilo in everything that you cook. How can these be salty? He said, no, they're too greasy and salty. Filipino food it is greasy and salty. It's either salty, greasy, or sweet. I just can't understand sometimes. Just really can't. And the other day we had a pizza, like a Greenwich pizza. Even that, I think that's the best pizza I've had here. But even that is like sweet, and it's just I've not had a good pizza here. I know there are. It's just where I am in Mindanao, and just can't find anything like that, like a good pizza house, good Chinese shop. There is not. All what here is Chow King. You can't really call that a Chinese shop, can you? It doesn't even taste like Chinese food. There is a good, there's a good Japanese food here, like a shop, and it's up above this 5-star hotel called Da Hotel. It's at the top of that, and we've been there several times, and every time it's been nice. And they cook the food in front of you. But when you see a Filipino cooking Japanese food, it's nice. It is nice, but it just doesn't. It's not right, is it? And you see the Filipinos are walking around serving in Japanese. What's it called? Komodo? No, that's a bloody lizard, isn't it? In what they wear, the attire what they wear. And yeah, it is nice, but it's just, I just look at the Filipinos walking around. And I said to them before, and they just laugh as well. But the chef is really good, and apparently the reason why his ramen and everything like that is good is because he used to work in Japan as a chef a long time ago, because his wife was Japanese, which they've since divorced. That's why he's back in the Philippines, and he opened up this Japanese restaurant. Very good too. Fair play to him. Always busy, bit pricey, but it's okay. That's it, people. So listen, what do you think about all this? Would you build your Filipino wife's mum and dad and brothers and sisters one house where they could all live near to where you've already built your house for your partner? Would you do that? Many of you might. Something that I would never consider. It would just bring a whole shitload of problem onto my doorstep. I know it would. Ooh, would it not? Would you do it? Tell me in the comments, because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And my wife said don't do it as well. Take care, people. 1st of December. 1st of December. 25 days till Christmas. Take care, people. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.